Hey, how's it going? It's October 11th, 2022. This is your daily sweet talk. Is Winnie the Pooh a fairy tale? I want to know your gut instinct for that. Yes or no, is Winnie the Pooh a fairy tale? Don't even think about it, just answer yes or no. Okay, but why? Why yes, why no? I'm not even sure what my gut instinct is anymore. I want to say that it would be no before I had thought about it recently, and I don't even remember what my thought process was, but I think my gut instinct would have been no. It's not a fairy tale. It's just another story that, Disney adapted. Disney has adapted lots of fairy tales over the years, and Winnie the Pooh is just another story they have the rights to, that they adapted into several cartoons. And not even, it wasn't even similar to how they adapted most of the fairy tales they adapted. Like instead of doing like one movie, it was like several shorts, and so it's not really the same thing. But what makes Pinocchio okay, let me rephrase that. If Winnie the Pooh isn't a fairy tale, why is Pinocchio a Pinocchio wouldn't be a fairy tale either, really, right? Or The Wizard of Oz. Disney hasn't really. I mean, they've done some stuff, but it's like it's not one of their classic fairy tales that they've adapted into cartoons. But I feel like The Wizard of Oz and Pinocchio are both treated as classic fairy tales at this point. In Bill Willingham's Fables series, which I'm a big fan of, Pinocchio is a big character in that. He's one of the main characters. I think Pinocchio is largely treated as a classic fairy tale character now. And there's a lot of Wizard of Oz stuff in there as well. I think those are definitely considered like fairy tale stories at this point. Also American fables like Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed. Winnie the Pooh is not as old as The Wizard of Oz or Pinocchio. Not quite, but at this point, it just fell into the public domain. What's stopping it from being a fairy tale? Like, what is the distinction? Because The Wizard of Oz and Pinocchio are just published stories. Like, they're books. Sherlock Holmes has been in the public domain for a while, but he's not a fairy tale character. He's just a literary character. So why is Pinocchio a fairy tale character? I mean, I guess there's a fairy in there. I guess maybe that's why there's fairies in The Wizard of Oz and Pinocchio. Is that what makes them fairy tales? Most fairy tales don't have fairies in them. I think the Three Little Pigs is considered a fairy tale. That's another weird one, isn't it? The Three Little Pigs as a fairy tale? Why is that a fairy tale? But I think it is. I would say, like, it's a fable, I guess, but it's in that genre. Little Red Riding Hood, it's got the Big Bad Wolf. It was one of the most classic fairy tale characters. Winnie the Pooh, I think, falls more in line with like Dr. Seuss. And there has been a lot of adventures, but Dorothy, Wizard of Oz, is also a lot of adventures. Pinocchio, I think, maybe had multiple. I don't know. I think no, Pinocchio was like a series that was collected into one book. I think I'm not sure. I should know this. I'm a big fan of Pinocchio. I don't know. I don't. I still, I guess, would say Winnie the Pooh is not. Even after thinking about it, I'd say Winnie the Pooh is not a fairy tale. But I'm not sure what the distinction is. Maybe I should have looked it up, what a fairy tale is. But I'm just going off of, like, gut. Because I think a lot of things we consider fairy tales would not actually be considered fairy tales if you actually looked up the definition. Which I don't know what it is, but I don't think The Wizard of Oz or Pinocchio, other than the fact they have wizards in them, would be considered a fairy tale. So I'm not sure why Winnie the Pooh wouldn't either.